Hi, this is Andrew Davey, Let's Talk Nevada, and we are here with the Honorable Ann Holton, former Virginia Education Secretary. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm glad to be here in Nevada and glad to be with you.
Great. Well, first off, I know today we've been talking about K-12 education. If your husband is elected vice president and Hillary Clinton's elected president, what do you think they can do in terms of better partnering with state and local authorities to improve K-12 education?
Well, I'm very proud of Tim's and Hillary's track record and proposals on really education from pre-K to K-12 all the way through higher education. That Hillary is very focused on how do we make sure that all young people have a pathway to successful futures. And that starts with pre-K, but K-12 is crucial. In the K-12 world, Hillary is very focused on how do we elevate and modernize the teaching profession. How do we help build community supports around schools? How do we help gear our learning towards 21st century opportunities?
Well, particularly here in Nevada, we for decades now have had funding issues. Do you see any opportunities in the future to provide help at the federal level?
Well, traditionally, education is K-12 education funding has been a three-part equation: states and localities, and the federal government contributing. But the federal share of K-12 education has been the smallest. I do think that the federal share can and should be very, very focused on how do we help the kids who need it the most. But I also think that there is a role, yes, for the federal government to help with the bully pulpit, with the conversations in the states. Because it is true that here in Nevada, people recognize that education matters, that we're building futures for our kids, but somehow translating that into concrete support, helping people understand the value of investing in education, there's sometimes a disconnect, and we've got to figure out how to help you do better on it.
Well, last year we had a bit of a breakthrough here in Nevada with the big bipartisan agreement to raise certain taxes so we could better fund our schools here. But there's still so much more to do. Do you think there's any hope in terms of President Clinton working with Republicans in Congress to make any progress there, and for that matter on what Secretary Clinton has discussed regarding making higher education more affordable?
Yes, I do think that there are pathways to working together. My husband's worked very collaboratively with his Republican colleagues in the Senate, as did Hillary when she was a senator. In fact, Tim's had folks in the hallways of the Senate, including people from the other side of the aisle, come up to him and say, "Hey, we worked with Hillary when she was a senator, when she was Secretary of State. We know she's a hard-working, collaborative person. We can work with Hillary." So I'm optimistic. I think there is a general recognition, especially on the higher ed side, that and in there the federal government does play traditionally a larger role in the financing, that there is a recognition that we can't have an increasing gap, a widening gap between haves and have-nots, higher education becoming almost unreachable for folks from disadvantaged backgrounds, becoming much harder even for folks from middle class backgrounds. So I think there's a recognition of an affordability crisis, and that can help generate some grounds for action.
Do you see any specific opportunities for common ground?
Well, yes. I mean, I think around the higher ed affordability, and I think around pre-K. In Virginia, my husband worked to expand pre-K options, and as did my most recent boss, Terry McAuliffe, our Virginia governor. And in both occasions, we were able to advance the ball with the help of the business community, who recognizes that pre-K, K-12, and higher ed are crucial to the workforce of the future.
So perhaps we in Nevada can provide a good example for the rest of the country?
Yes. People recognize that our children and our future matters. It's just a matter of figuring out how to translate that into action.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks. Remind your viewers, early vote, continues
till November 4th.
Thanks.